The status quo. When I decided to go back into education after taking a year and a half off, there were a lot of things I thought about. But one thing I didn't think about, and it's actually shocking to say this, I didn't think about mass pew-pews in the school. I was thinking about all kind of other things, the day-to-day, having been out for a while, how different things might be going into a different level of education, all these different things. But I didn't think about that because being away from it for a year and a half, it was no longer a part of my status quo. It was no longer a part of something that I was mentally and emotionally prepared for in the back of my head. And saying that, even saying those words, is such a horrible thing to say. Because how in the world do Americans live in a time and place when this has become something that many of us, have accepted as a possibility? I went to school, years ago as a student. I was born in 1970, so I was in high school in the 80s, in middle school and elementary school in the 70s, and this was not thought. I was in college, in the 90s. This was not a thought. It had never happened. And so to be at a point where it's 2024, and I think I heard a newscaster say that even though most students have only been in school a month or less, there's already been 45 mass pew-pews in schools. It's mind-boggling that that is the case. And I've heard some commenters say that if a different group were the ones who were doing this, besides YT, young men and boys, that it would have already been legislated out of existence. If it were Black people, women, immigrants, anybody else, it would have already been fixed. But because our society is patriarchal and it has been set up for the benefit of mostly YT Christian males, we have skirted around the issue and made it about a lot of other things that we don't want to legislate very much. I heard another person say that, how about we treat guns like people want to treat abortions? How about people have to walk by signs of people holding up their lost loved ones before they go buy a gun, especially one that has, semi-automatic capabilities? How about they have to look at a video of, some kind of emotional scene that's supposed to deter them from wanting to get it? How about they have to walk past people that are yelling at them and calling them all kinds of names, and accusing them of being a murderer before they get it? How about we make them have to drive hours to a different state to get it and have to prove to some kind of doctor or authority that they actually need it before they can get it? And of course, there's many other restrictions on abortion. And nobody, no woman who has ever gotten an abortion or tried to get an abortion has committed a mass pew pew. But again, like I said, there's so many of them that happen that the numbers are astronomical. And people can blame so many different things. Of course, bullying comes up. But if I remember correctly, it was the first day of school for the student who just did the latest one. And he hadn't even had a chance to be bullied by these students, to have any kind of negative interactions with them. So, us having to deal with this as a status quo is unthinkable, that this is happened so many times and nothing really has been done about it. But other things which weren't a danger to the public, like abortion, have been taken so seriously and pushed so far to where there's many states, I think it's 11, where you can't even have this done. And I know I live in Texas, and Texas is trying to stop women and get their driving records, their medical histories from them taking trips out of state. But nobody's doing that for guns, for semi-automatic weapons, for something that has proven to take the lives of many people. So why is it that it's such a push to control women and such a avoidance to control men? May you walk in Zenergy. The status quo. When I decided to go back into education after taking a year and a half off, there were a lot of things I thought about. But one thing I didn't think about, and it's actually shocking to say this, I didn't think about mass pew-pews in the school.